It's Wednesday. Kevin Boilard shows up, and we got Kevin Boilard in the house, and we had to wait till what's the day, Kevin? Today is December 7th. We had to wait till December 11th to actually trash talk each other on Eagles Giants, and it's finally here, Kevin. It's finally here, and the Giants are coming off. Lo and behold, I actually think it was a smart tie for them.
Hey, man, first of all, credit to us for, staying away from each other's throats for this long. I don't know how we did it. And second of all, I know, man, it wasn't a great feeling tie, but then you remember, hey, the Giants just tied literally the hottest team in the NFL right now. They have the best record, even better than the Eagles since week 6 heading into last week. So the Giants are just as good as them.
It's funny, right? Because as soon as they tied, we're waiting for, to get in the Eagles locker room and stuff. And I'm watching the end of the game on my phone. Everybody's like, they're Giants watching, they tied. I'm like, well, actually, that's good for the Giants because Washington didn't gain anything on them.
It is true. I mean, when it comes down to, first of all, forget the Giants for a second. I cannot stand when there's a tie in the standings and you just have to calculate, this team's like half a game ahead or whatever. And it just feels weird because a team with fewer wins might have a better win-loss record or something like that. And I would love to see a study. Here's something for you, Jeff, if you got something to do this offseason. I want to see a study if there have been more ties since the NFL moved the overtime rule down to 10 minutes from 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because of all the stupid rules the NFL has, that is the stupidest. Why are you playing 4 15-minute quarters and then all of a sudden you go to 10?
Yeah, so there's the thinking behind it is, player safety. They'll play 5 less minutes. All right. Ask any fan or players too, because I know the players don't like the ties. Hey, would you save 5 minutes of the occasional overtime on your body, or would you just rather have fewer ties? Or why is there even a tie at all? I mean, I feel like they're, do a kickoff or something, like a shootout type thing, but with field goal kickers or something at the end. Yeah. No one wants to see a tie. That was the biggest thing that makes people like me upset is I want to either celebrate after the game. I wait all week to watch my team. And then at the end, I'm back where I started. I just wasted 3 hours. You should have just said, hey, we're not playing today. We're just going to call it we're going to call it a draw. I want to either be celebrating or I want to be mad as hell at my team and tweeting about it all week. And instead, when a tie happens, you're robbed of both of those things.
This is what I always laughed about the tie in general. There's 2 traditions of the tie that never get old. You're always waiting for that one player to say they didn't know that there were ties in the National Football League. Donovan, and he's not the only one, no. But it's still hilarious how they don't know their own rules to their own sport. It is kind of funny.
Funny, and Donovan McNabb doesn't really fall into this category as a Syracuse guy, but I think a lot of guys, grow up playing college football and or fans of college football, play college football, get to the NFL. I always think it's funny when a guy from the SEC gets drafted and he doesn't even know the other teams in his division. Yeah.
So here's my favorite, right? So I've actually asked a few players about this. You guys know the overtime rules just out of, we're going to have some fun here. And they're like, why does it go to 10 minutes? Some know and some don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy, right? I remember when they made the change and I don't know why it kind of went through my head at the time, but I remember the first overtime game, it was 10 minutes. I'm like, what is this? Some joke? This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. And I don't know, Kevin, I like your shootout idea. I think is what they should do. They have the quarterback lined up at the 25. You have a receiver and you have a defensive back and you pick who it is. Go to the end zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be fun?
A little Hail Mary. And especially when it comes to the one, obviously there's a lot of games that Chiefs Bills won in the playoffs. They don't even need 2 minutes, let alone 10 minutes. Cause those teams score like that, once they start running. This was a game between 2 defensive teams. We described it last week, that it was going to be a slog. It was going to be a field position battle. And the Giants were winning the field position battle slowly in overtime. They were pushing them back. They almost had a safety on Heineke. And then the only reason they're kicking the field goal for the 58-yarder when they had to was because they ran out of time. There should have been 5 more minutes for them to get as close as they needed to.
You know what play I really think screwed the Giants up? And I'm
What?
trying to remember when it was. When Richie James and Saquon Barkley ran into each other. Yeah.
That was an embarrassing play. And also, like, another one where I feel like I'm just giving you counter narratives when I come on here, Jeff. But, like, I think there's been a lot of things that have shown Brian Daboll isn't the, miracle worker. I'm not saying he's not doing a good job. He is, but, like, all right, like that. And they had an illegal man downfield penalty this week, so it hasn't been fixed. But that too, like when they run into each other on the biggest play of the game, the week before when they had 4th and 1 against the Cowboys and they only had 10 men on the field, like how many coaching mistakes can you make or coaching shortcomings? I know that's 2 players running into each other, but at the end of the day, that's one of the players didn't know what he was doing. And how is he on the field in that position? I mean, why are you even doing that? Like, it's pretty simple. You already got Saquon, you got Daniel Jones, do the read option. You need 3 yards. Why is Richie James even in the equation?
Like it's almost like you're outsmarting yourself.
I also think I would love to know about the other NFC East teams. I know the Eagles call plays from the sideline, but do any other NFC East teams off the top of your head, besides the Giants, call plays from up in the box? That's where Mike Kafka is. And do you have a take on that in general?
Yeah. I'm not against it. I think Mike Kafka should be on the field, though, because Shane Steichen calls the plays on the sideline. Yeah. He's on the sideline. Washington, I want to say Scott Turner's in the box.
If you were an offensive coordinator, would you call plays from the box or on the sideline?
Sideline.
Wouldn't you want to talk with your, like, not through a headset, like talk with your quarterback and your offensive players and like get in their ear if they're messing up? Like, I get you get the bird's eye view looking down and maybe that's an advantage, but like, are you looking like at practice? Are you coaching the offense from like up in the stands or are you on the sideline coaching, on the sideline? I would do it the way you practice.
Yeah, when John Gruden was the Eagles offensive coordinator, he did it from the box. I think Ray Rhodes made him do that, and I don't think he was a big fan of it. Like, I think he wanted to be in the action. Like, it's so much different because you're hearing so many voices, not just your own.
Right.
And you still got the headset on. I just rather be down there. Like, I would love to just talk to my quarterback, talk to anybody on the offense I need to, and be like, hey, what were you doing here? What are you doing here?
So I heard you tease my other take, but that's a take that I would have too. I would say Giant specific take. I'm not saying take the play calling away from Mike Kafka. Bring the play calling down from the box to the sideline.
Yeah. By the way, I know you have spicy take to me when we were texting this week about
I couldn't wait. I had to text you.
If the Giants happen to beat the Eagles Sunday, which they can, it is an NFC East game. And by the way, they did beat. I can't remember the last time the Eagles won in New York. Was it 2019?
You're talking about a New York winning streak. But that's true, Jeff. If the Giants beat the Eagles this week, they're winning the Super Bowl. And I can confidently say that because I really think I think I looked up the ESPN projection and they give the Giants a 25% chance to win the game.
That ESPN projection is Jerry Jones just paying them off, right?
Well, I was going to say I give him like 10% chance. Like, and I mentioned this in the past to you, like, a team like Washington, even though they were as hot as they were, didn't scare me because I was like, oh, their genetics, their makeup is a defensive team. They're not going to blow them out. The Giants can keep the game close. Like, the Eagles are a team where if you look at the Giants, we'll get into something else in a second if you're cool with it. But like, I think their biggest problem right now is their defense just isn't what it was in the beginning of the season. Like, they had a top 10 defense and like probably heading into the Seahawks game. I know that like the first half of the season, they ranked in the top 10 in both scoring and yards. And then I was shocked to look up yesterday where the Giants ranked and they're in the bottom 10 now in terms of yards. So it can flip on you that fast where you have, Wink Martindale, top 10 defense too. Now you have actually a pretty poor defense. And I think that an offense, and they haven't faced an offense like the Eagles. I would say the Lions were a good offense that moved the ball pretty much at will against them. And I could see the Eagles being, doing more damage than that.
This is what I think has been shocking with the Giants. And I have noticed that too. I'm like, wait a minute, weren't they like top 10, top 15, like a couple weeks ago? But I think a lot of that has to do with who the hell has the ball on offense? Like, I don't even know. This is bad. I don't even know if I can name 5 wide receivers on the Giants right now.
No, I can't too. And that goes perfectly into what I was going to say. So the big talking point for Giants fans coming out of that Washington game is, and I heard you guys talking about Saquon, and I agree with you to some level. If you look at his season as a whole, yes, he's carried them to get to where they are. But Tone was right at the end when he said the last 5 weeks, you look at the last 5 weeks, Saquon's averaging like 3.3 yards per carry. He has that one monster game against the Texans tucked in there. So it doesn't look as bad as it really is.
By the way, I want to go a little off topic quick, just really quick. How bad is Dallas going to beat Houston this week?
Oh, gosh, dude. That's actually scary because, yeah, man, Dallas can score. There's another offense. The Giants played better against them than I thought. But, like, there's another offense that's like, how do you step up to them, you know? And Houston, that's going to be not so good.
By the way, go back to your Saquon point. I just wanted to mention, like, I still haven't seen the point spread for that, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Are you talking about for the Giants Eagles?
Both of them, honestly.
Point spread for Cowboys, that's got to be 14, I would imagine. Giants Eagles, I think I saw was 7.
Honestly, I think I would take Dallas. If Dallas had a 20-point spread, I think I'd take them.
I might too. And I don't even bet. So I agree with you guys mostly on Saquon, but Tone is right. He's wearing down. It's why I wouldn't pay Saquon, because the biggest question about him wasn't his ability. Everyone knows what his ability is when he's 100%. The problem is he's never 100%, or he can be 100% for half the season and then he's going to get banged up and not play as dynamically. He's still toughing it out and gutting it out, handling a lot of touches, and I appreciate his effort, and they wouldn't be much without him. I agree with that. But there's an argument now that's going, Saquon's not being as effective. It's time for Daniel Jones. Take the leash off Daniel Jones and let him sling it. My question is, sling it to who? You know, like Saquon, sure, you can say he doesn't have the same pop that he had early in the season, but Daniel Jones, for him to make an impact, someone has to catch the ball. Are you saying Darius Slayton deserves more touches, who had the monster drop in that game? I wouldn't mind throwing him the ball more, but you know there's going to be frustrating drops that come with that. Richie James, who fumbles the ball. I guess you're saying either Isaiah Hodgins, who just scored his first NFL touchdown last week, or Daniel Bellinger, who until last week was blind for a month. Like, I just don't think. Or your argument is Daniel Jones needs to run more, which that makes sense to me too. But they tried that against Washington, and while he still had like 70 yards rushing, he was more effective scrambling than he was on the designed run. So I guess if Daniel Jones needs to do more, what he needs to do is escape the pocket, scrambling, take fewer sacks, and turn some of those negative plays, whether it's a sack or an incomplete pass, into, rushing gains. And while he is capable of doing that sometimes, if that is your game plan going into the Eagles game, you're probably in trouble.
This is what worries me about this Giants team going forward. And I still think they can make the playoffs. I actually, again, this is why I think the tie helps them. I don't know if they can beat the Eagles Sunday, but I think for the Giants' sake, they might be better off letting the Eagles beat them Sunday. I know it sounds crazy, but Week 18, the Eagles may not have anything to play for.
In that game, maybe, instead of making them have to play a second game, let them, because don't the Eagles clinch with a win?
A playoff spot, yes. So,
but it's too early to clinch.
Yeah, to clinch the NFC East, I said this at the top of the show, they need to win their next 3 games, and it doesn't matter.
Got it.
So, but by the way, what did you think of the whole Dallas? Indy played Dallas tough for 3 quarters, and Dallas just blew the doors off them in the 4th.
Yeah, that was actually kind of a really interesting, fascinating game to watch. The way it just completely got away from the Colts in the 4th quarter there. To me, it just looked like a team. It looked like it was kind of like a, Mentos in a Coke bottle. Like it was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen at some point. It was weird that it's not exploding yet. But like the way they were late in the game, just like taking the ball out of the Colts players' hands, like it was like, oh, this is like a, like an NFL team playing against a high school team right now. All of a sudden, like If they want the ball, they're just going to get it and run and maybe score a defensive touchdown or just give Dak a easy throw, And of course, Dak gets those, easy stats at the end of the game. But
oh yeah. By the way, my criticism wasn't that game, and Cowboys Nation did not like it one bit. So there's 8 minutes left. Dallas is up. I want to say it was 40-19, and Dak and Zeke were still in. And I'm like, why are they in this game right now?
They certainly didn't need them in the game, but maybe they were doing it to protect Tony Pollard.
See, I would protect him, but Pollard was in at some point too. But here's the thing. I don't like when they keep Dak in like that game. I want to see guys like him healthy, and I don't want to hear any excuses from that fan base.
Okay, good point. Yeah, I know you always beat that drum, and that is true. Yeah,
it's fun. All they want to do is mention that, the Eagles beat the Cowboys with Cooper Rush. You mean the undefeated Cooper Rush? Yeah. That's what he was.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, if you would have asked Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock of that day, that game was an 8:15 game, Dallas fans would have said there's probably a quarterback controversy.
So do you think that they're like, what do you think of Dallas? Because, I mean, I'm sure you're in on the Eagles. They've got the best record. They look great. But now there's this narrative that's starting to shift where Dallas, look, they've scored 40 points twice this year. Dak Prescott, they're averaging like 35 points a game since he came back. Oh, now they have the biggest point differential in the NFL. Maybe Dallas is actually the best team in the NFL. So do you think that is at all legitimate, I guess, or do you see them any differently now than you did maybe like a month or two ago?
So when they made the run with Cooper Rush, I said, wow, this team's going to be pretty good when Dak comes back. I did not disagree with that. But now I think the hype train is just at ungodly levels. I think the Dallas Cowboys are good enough to go to the Super Bowl. But all the crap they're doing, and it's always the same crap every year. They always love to blow out opponents. And I said, okay, they're just bracing themselves for the inevitable second round playoff exit. And then, I'm giving them a playoff win this year. Like last year when they blew out the Eagles in week 18, the Eagles played their backups. I'm like, San Francisco's going to beat this team. They're going to beat this team because they're actually going to play somebody. Dallas doesn't play anybody till week 16. They play Houston. And again, it's the Eagles played these same teams too. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but they play Houston and they play Jacksonville. And then they play the Eagles. And even if they beat the Eagles, if the Eagles win their next 2 games, it doesn't mean much anyway. So I just don't know what goes on in the Dallas Cowboy fans' mind. It's that loser mentality where we're the big bully. We got to beat up on the little 8-year-old. We're 12. We got to beat up on the 8-year-old. But the 14-year-old shows up and all of a sudden we run away and hide in fear.
Yeah. And guess what? They're not going to be playing those teams like the Colts and the Texans in the playoffs. Exactly. So it is going to be different. And I was actually shocked. The Giants played them 28-20. So and that's with the Giants defense not looking great. That was a short week, pretty banged up, and Cowboys only scored 28 on them. So I thought that was going to be a bigger bloodbath.
Kevin, I want to ask you as a non-biased observer here, because you are a Giants fan.
Yeah.
Cowboys fans like to call the Eagles little brother. We're little brother. Eagles fans are little brother to the Cowboys' big brother. When in our lifetime have the Eagles been little brother to the Cowboys?
I mean, I think I was learning to walk at that time. Yeah, I mean, we were alive, I guess, at that time. But honestly, Jeff, and this is the New York person in me, but hey, it's what you've done for me lately. And I got to be honest, man, I hate saying that, but the Eagles had the most recent Super Bowl in the NFC East, and they're still have a lot of that, Jason Kelsey's still around, Howie Roseman was the guy. So there's still that aura. I know a lot of the players aren't there anymore, but they still have, and they've shifted. It's weird because they've shifted quarterbacks, shifted coaches, lost so many players, but they still have that feeling of, they're a playoff contender and, they could get into the mix for the Super Bowl. This year, they look like a Super Bowl favorite, but, I'm talking about generally the last 5 years, even the down years at the end of the Carson Wentz era. But I think that the whole division was down at that time. Anyway,
I thought Miles Sanders said something very interesting in the locker room Sunday.
What do you say?
We're just chatting. It's a couple reporters, but, I'm talking to him about a couple things. And so Brandon Graham, you know how Brandon Graham is. He's like, he's pointing at media members like, I thought we were going to lose to the Titans. I thought we were going to get crushed by the Titans. Derrick Henry, King Henry. And he's like all smiling and laughing as he's about to go get a shower. And Miles just smiles and goes, man, he's having fun. He's really trying to get that second ring. And I'm like, well, you know what? He knows, like, he's got a shot. He's got a shot to get 2 Super Bowl rings. It's crazy to think about. Like, Brandon Graham, Jason Kelce, and Fletcher Cox can get 2 Super Bowl rings.
I will say, like, when you mention something like that, how many players, this would be a good stat if that ends up, you should look this up if it ends up, don't start counting your chickens before they hatch. But like, if that ends up happening, I would be super curious how many players there are in NFL history, like a Jason Kelce, like a Brandon Graham, like a Fletcher Cox, who won 2 Super Bowls with the same team, but 2 different coaches, 2 different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That's got to be extremely rare.
I bet there's a lot of players on Washington.
Yeah.
Like,
like a lot
of the Hogs, like Mark May and those guys. I'm sure Shaleroff, I'm pretty sure he's won a Super Bowl with a bunch of different coaches and quarterbacks.
Right.
Yeah,
well, 2 of their 3 Super Bowls, I believe, were in.
But by the way, Kevin,
years,
do you know this off the top of your head? Like, how many Giants from the 07 team were on the 11 team? Was it a lot?
I don't know the exact number, but it was something like, I would guess maybe 10 or 11.
Yeah.
It was a decent amount, but there was a good amount of turnover in between those 2. And a lot of the turnover happened that last, like, after 2010, after Miracle in the Meadowlands, and they kind of collapsed down at the stretch. There was a big turnover, like, where they redid their whole offensive line and stuff like that. So there was a good chunk of leftovers, but it was a largely new team at that time. So
yeah,
it was kind of like you thought their window had just closed, and then it was like, whoop, open right back up again. So
yeah, that was a weird year too, because I remember like going in the. Do you remember this? Like on Christmas Eve, remember the NFL played games on Christmas Eve that year?
Yeah,
and the Eagles still technically had like an outside shot at the playoffs. They were playing Dallas, and the Giants were playing the Jets, and Jets were winning most of that game. Then Victor Cruz had that touchdown, like, okay,
99-yarder.
Yep, and then I'm like, okay, well, that's over, but still,
and
though,
then I think there were 3 years in a row. I could be wrong, with the Giants being the first one, where Dallas had a Week 17 like win or go home game.
It was
and
Giants,
they lost to each of the 3. I'm pretty sure.
Yep, it was Giants, Washington, and I still remember the excuse then. Oh, John couldn't have played, and Tony Romo did. I'm like, you were at home, you couldn't finish off the Eagles. Like, come on, man.
That's a nice little nugget of NFC East trivia that should be brought up more often than it is.
I think they were all Sunday night football games.
They were. It was like crazy that 3 years in a row. Like, could the NFL ask for more than like a Week 17 Dallas Cowboys win or go home game, and then they lose it 3 years in a row?
And then you know what happened the 4th year, don't you?
No, what?
That was the Des Bryant. Was it?
Yeah. That was 2014, I guess. Right.
By the way, I never did ask you. Did you ever think it was a catch?
Did I ever what?
Did you ever think that was a catch?
The Des Bryant versus the Packers one?
Yeah.
In the backyard. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. I kept saying, I'm like, well, Des, make it more convincing or actually catch the football.
Hey, by the letter of the law of the NFL rule book, it was not a catch. And now the way they have it is, in my opinion, more arbitrary, but whatever. Like, it's still clearly not fixed. If we're going to talk about receivers, though, and the Cowboys, we got to quickly talk about how funny is it that the Cowboys went on a month-long recruitment of Odell, and now all of a sudden in the 11th hour, they're like, actually, we don't think he can even play. Like, it's like, what?
Hey, it's hilarious, right? They even brought him to the Mavericks basketball. I went on a tangent about Odell yesterday. I'm like, did they actually think this guy is like going to get them to the Super Bowl?
Well, how about the con job he's pulling on the NFL, Odell? If he really can't play and he's turning himself into this like, hot commodity, and it's like, dude, why would anyone sign you before free agency next year?
Exactly. Well, what's he going to do? Like, say he was signed today with anybody. When do you think he's going to be ready? Probably not till January.
What if he wants to sign with the Giants because he's like waiting to see that they won't make the playoffs?
That would be funny. So this is what I agree with you though. I'm hating this Odell Beckham media tour, this Odell Beckham Twitter, like anything he could do to stay in the spotlight right now, because you know why? He's irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, he's got issues right now with Nike even, and I think that is because he's not playing. Like, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Hey man, if you're going to be out there as an athlete, like either be training or be playing the game,
Do,
Like
do
we
you
pay you a
think
lot of
like
money."
I love how people said he's changed. I don't think he's changed at all. I think he's still that me first guy.
I think I've always said this. I've said it on this exact show. Odell is great in a winning environment. He'll raise the team to another level, and he's bad in a losing environment. He'll bring the team down. So that's just Odell in a
Yeah,
nutshell.
yeah. So like, I'm trying to think of a situation here. But like Odell in Cleveland last year, right? You could tell. And again, say what you want about Baker Mayfield. What Odell Beckham did was childish last year to him. Like,
Legendary Los Angeles Rams quarterback Baker Mayfield.
yeah. By the way, how hilarious would it have been if Odell signed with the Rams and Baker ended up with the Rams? That would be like the greatest plot twist in NFL history.
I didn't even think about that. That's
Yeah, I remember they still have his locker available.
yeah.
That's what I should say. Hey Odell, if they still got your locker, did they give it to Baker?
Yeah, they gave it to Baker. Oh my gosh.
But do you think Baker Mayfield will actually help them? Like,
No, I don't think Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback. And even worse than not being a good quarterback, I don't think he's mature at all.
no. Well, he was headbutting. Like, he was headbutting. Like, last time we saw Baker Mayfield on Thursday Night Football, he was headbutting his teammates without a helmet.
Why are the Rams even making an edit of him like in the jersey? Like, I guess because he's going to play this week. Is it tomorrow?
Yeah, they play tomorrow. No,
He's going to play.
No, there's no way. It's. I think it's John. I think they're going with John Wolford again.
Wow.
Like, I get it. Like, by the way, how about their season? They're 3-0. I don't think people realize like how bad that team actually is.
Can you think of a defending Super Bowl champ that has just been talked about less? Like, it's funny. Like the NFL was like trying so hard to make LA work. We're going to dump all this money into a new stadium. We got 2 teams there. Okay, perfect. We got one of them in the Super Bowl. Perfect. They won the Super Bowl. Guess what? It doesn't end. Like if you're trying to build fandom and build, a brand, it doesn't end with they won a Super Bowl and then don't worry about the rest. Like, no, you have to keep drumming that storyline. What's wrong with the Rams? But that just goes to show you that no one actually cares. Like Los Angeles is just vapid and they're like, oh, a team that's winning, I'll show. Am I going to be on TV? Cool. Oh, wait, the team's losing and no one's going to be watching. Why would I go to the game?
Yeah, it's sad, right? Because I think the Chargers are an exciting team to watch, but no one seems to care about them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think the Chargers are like extremely underperforming team. And
they are.
so is their quarterback.
I mean, they got a lot of injuries this year, and Herbert's finally healthy. But even like on Sunday, like their run defense is putrid. By the way, I'm
what the heck was that narrative that I don't know if you saw a narrative that popped up yesterday? It's like, oh, obviously everyone says Justin Herbert doesn't have any help. Oh, it reminds me of another Chargers quarterback, Phillip Rivers, who never had any help. It's like, are you kidding me? He played with freaking LaDainian Tomlinson, Antonio Gates, Keenan. Like, dude, he was like a who's who of like Pro Bowlers back in the day.
That team was loaded in the late 2000s, and they had like the biggest idiot of a coach in Norv Turner.
I know. I don't know. I was like, when did this? This is complete revisionist history.
So when the Titans fired John Robinson on Sunday,
that was shocking.
Or yesterday, yeah. The last time I was completely shocked over a firing was when they fired Marty Schottenheimer after he went 14-2.
Yeah, I know. That was a crazy one. Do you just to go tie it back to the Eagles with the John Robinson thing? Do you think it was just like it had to have been like an ongoing kind of power struggle type of thing between Vrabel and like I bet you the AJ Brown thing was just the straw that broke the camel's back.
Oh yeah, and Mike Vrabel did not want AJ Brown gone. I think Mike Vrabel would have done anything in his power to keep AJ Brown.
Right. And if you're looking at it like it's kind of like a Howie Roseman situation when you're talking about like the QB factory and flipping players and stuff. I mean, it's hard to argue. It's like, hey, they drafted AJ Brown in the second round and they flipped him into a first round pick. Like that's good GM work, you would think. But like, was it really? Because now the Titans don't have any receivers and it kind of shows.
Well, it's like when Carson Wentz decided he didn't want to be with the Eagles anymore. Howie Roseman says, watch this. I'll make sure you're not with the Eagles anymore. And like, I swear, I've never seen such a shrewd guy. Like, so I saw Howie in the locker room Sunday. He walks by. He's got this biggest smug smile on
Yeah.
his face. Like
Yeah,
you can tell. I would love to just sit in a room for 10 minutes with that guy and just pick his brain.
Yeah, I think he loves being good at his job.
Yeah, like I kind of smiled at him and he kind of smiled back. Like I think he's that guy. He goes on social media and reads every good thing people say about him.
Yeah, I need to find his burner. And AJ Brown, man, that guy's a machine. I got heavy prime Eagles TO vibes from him last week. It was just like the kind where you're like, how do you stop that guy?
Yeah, so I debated this on the show earlier this week. Who was better, 04 TO or AJ Brown this year? Because to me, they're both really close. TO, I thought, just dominated every single week he took the field.
He was the only, TO was the only player I can really think of where, as a Giants Eagles fan rivalry, I was like, well, that guy's just unstoppable. Like there's obviously was the Deshaun Jacksons, who I knew were going to get a big play, or LaShawn McCoy, who's going to be a thorn in the side. But it's like, you still thought you could win. TO that one year, 04, it was just like, well,
I remember, I think it was Eli made I want to say his first career start against the Eagles. I remember they wore the red jerseys and like the Eagles did not play as well offensively as everybody thought. And they still won like 28-6 or something like that.
But AJ Brown, he's looking like that, man. Titans tried covering him. They tried not covering him. Nothing was working.
I was like, are they seriously putting an undrafted rookie cornerback on AJ Brown right now? Like, are they actually trying to do this? Oh, and they were trying to play man coverage too.
Yeah.
I'm like,
he's a beast, dude. He's a beast. That was got to be up there for one of the offseason moves of the year.
Yeah, I still can't believe they got him. And like, I kind of knew like it was coming beforehand, like, because I was asking people down there and, the whole Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown connect. I knew it was a real thing, but I didn't realize
it's tough for me as a Giants fan looking around the division. You got AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin, Darius Slayton.
Yeah. Seriously? Oh, man. What do you put this in perspective, man? You really do. It's I'm crying right now because of this. It's Darius. You just mentioned Darius Slayton with the great. That would be the tweet, by the way. Yeah, the NFC East has some really good receivers.
Yeah. And then Darius Slayton with the ball going through his hands.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're right though. I can't name 5 Giants. When Isaiah Hodgins got the touchdown last week, I'm like, wait, when did
I think he's their number one.
I was like, when did he get on the team?
Dude, I was talking to my buddy. I was like, did Kenny Golladay even play in the game? It's like, it's good to the point where it's like, I don't even know if he played in the game. He was a healthy scratch. Didn't even know because I checked the I didn't check the inactives.
It's so bad that CBS, like whenever we write Kenny Galladay stories, we're just like, who cares? Oh my God, Kevin, man, it's always a pleasure. I can't believe we're an hour into this thing already, but obviously, I gotta ask before we go, your prediction on this game.
I do think that the Eagles will win the game by two touchdowns, probably.
Okay, yeah. I find out today if I'm actually going to New York or not. The Giants, I'll say this: the Giants media, their Giants PR may be as bad as their football team. Let's just say that.
Yeah, maybe.
all right, Kevin. I'll talk to you soon.
Later, Jeff.
I'm sure we'll be talking Sunday, but definitely next week.
See ya.
See ya, bud. All right, so we got Kevin